Thank you for joining us at Evolutionary Talks with EV Mechanica. Today we have with us Mr. H.S. Bhatia, um, Managing Director and Manufacturing Partner at Daewoo, India. Sir, could you tell us a little about what Daewoo is going to provide to India and brief us a little about what exactly the company is about?
So thank you very much for the opportunity and having us on the show. Daewoo, as you know, is a 50-year-old brand from South Korea with legacy and heritage, and it is practically available in many segments of this industry. Daewoo is part of the POSCO group, and POSCO is in top 5 conglomerates in South Korea. They are a $750 billion group, and POSCO is largely into steel, shipbuilding, construction, and various other categories. Daewoo is one of the brands with POSCO, and Daewoo is available worldwide. They are present currently in about 110 countries. As I mentioned, they have a 50-year-old legacy. And Daewoo decided to enter India about 2 years back, given the India's economic growth and also rise in the people's incomes, and therefore the aspiration for a better lifestyle. So India, as a growing economy, as a growing country, Daewoo wanted to have a piece of this growth, and that is what brings Daewoo to India.
Okay, sir. So, what do you think are the types of electric vehicles that Daewoo is planning to introduce to the Indian market?
So Daewoo India is planning to get into the two-wheelers, which includes electric cycles as well as the electric scooters and bikes. So our mandate is to get into the two-wheelers EV space. And as you know, the two-wheeler EV space is growing very rapidly. And if you see from about less than 1 million last year, it is growing very rapidly. And by 2030, the target given by Government of India is about 50% of all two-wheelers must be electric, which means a sale of about 10 million vehicles. I'm talking of only electric scooters. 10 million vehicles by 2030. And if you see in the past, 2022, the EV two-wheelers were just about 5 lakh in the whole year. And they were about 9 lakh last year, which is a growth of almost 80%. And it is going to be 10x over the next 6 years, 7 years. So given this kind of a rapid growth, there is obviously everybody wants to be present in this growing industry, and that is where Daewoo comes into the picture. We believe that the Indian consumer, not only there is a money saving angle to this, because the running cost, including the maintenance, is quite low as compared to an IC engine two-wheeler. But also it plays a part in the environment and sustainability. So therefore, it has a twin objective. Over the last 3-4 years, both in terms of pricing as well as in terms of other ecosystem, including the charging stations and all the other factors which are included when a customer decides to buy a two-wheeler, are being eased with the government support and the favorable government policies. So that is why we are seeing a lot of growth in this category, and there are lots and lots of players. Although in the recent past we have seen a lot of consolidation happening, and many fly-by-night operators have actually moved out. Now there is a concerted effort by some serious players to, take this category forward, and we see this as a very exciting space.
Okay, sir. So, How does Daewoo plan to address the challenges of the EV infrastructure in India?
So before Devu, I would tell you about the EV adoption challenges by the industry or by the country per se. So I think the first thing which has been holding back the growth of two-wheeler EVs has been the charging infra. Because when you have a vehicle and if you are on a taking a distance, then you are worried about unlike a petrol pump where you can get the fuel after every couple of kilometers, every few kilometers. In EV, there is a pressure or there is a concern about the charging infra available on the way. So therefore, that is one of the issues, and which is why uh, the private sector as well as the government of India is working on a lot of improvement areas in terms of improving the charging infra. This could be like financial incentives, or this could be making mandatory the availability of charging stations on the petrol pumps or the CNG pumps, or making it mandatory in all the residential colonies and condominiums, and in mobile phones, for example, in office complexes. Also, the growth of the battery swapping infrastructure, where a lot of private players have come into the picture. So there is a lot of work which is going on in the improving the charging infra. So that remains number one priority both for a user or from the government point of view. Otherwise, that could be one of the challenge in terms of faster adoption of the EV trade is concerned. The second is also a lot of work is now going on in the making the battery safe, or rather the whole vehicle as safe. Because in the recent past, or at least since last 3-4 years, we have seen a lot of issues with regard to the battery or battery explosion or some other safety concerns. I think with the major players getting into the picture and the cheaper lithium batteries being used, either from China or the from India. But once the safety is in place, which is a concern for the consumer, I think the adoption will grow even faster. The third thing is about the prices. Now, on the price front, there has been a lot of support from the government in terms of incentives, whether in the form of PLI or in the form of FAME subsidy or some other incentives that the government gives. There are central incentives and there are state level incentives. The central government gives on the production or on the manufacturing, whereas the state level they give it on the registration part. That if you register the EV in my state, I'll give you 10,000 rupees subsidy or no registration or something like that. So I think these are the three factors which are currently affecting, and there could be if these are being worked upon by the private players, by the state government, and by the central government to improve, as I mentioned, charging infra, reduce the prices by giving incentives and subsidies to the consumer and to the manufacturers, and also work on the safety front. I think it can overall increase the adoption rate of the EVs. And we at Daewoo are working very closely with all these three stakeholders to come over these challenges so that the adoption rate grows and the sales level of the EV two-wheelers grows even faster.
Okay, sir. Are there any specific models or innovations Daewoo is planning for the EV segment in India?
So uh, we have discussed the ecosystem. Now coming to the specific technology, EV segment is undergoing a lot of changes. If you see in the battery space itself, there is a lot of work going on in terms of technology. There is a lithium battery. Now a lot of people are working on aluminum or hydrogen or nickel carbide, or there are lots of technology work being happening. And the battery experts I mean, it's a global R&D part, and Korea has very, very good technology in terms of lithium, especially. So that is one part which is on the battery. And on the vehicle part, there is a lot of work going on in terms of the mileage per charging, or on the life of the battery, or overall features being added. And currently, we are all working on this part, and Daewoo certainly is working on this, which is why we have not finalized our models as yet. And it will be another year or something before we launch and announce our models, because there is a lot of work in progress which is undergoing on the technology part, or on the R&D part.
Right, sir. So, how do you think will Daewoo ensure that its vehicles meet the specific needs and preferences of its Indian consumers?
So I think if you talk of Indian consumers, apart from technology, which, as I said, is work in progress, there are a lot of things that a customer actually looks forward when he decides to buy a EV, or for that matter, any product which is more than 50,000 and 50,000 and beyond. The first thing is they want a trust from the brand, that if I am buying some product worth 50,000 or more, there must be a trust factor that a customer looks forward to. That comes from the brand, that comes from the product, that comes from the technology, and also the background of the manufacturer. So the first thing that Daewoo can offer to an Indian consumer is the trust factor, that we are a brand with a 50-year-old legacy, and a global brand with a global technology and a lot of innovation. So therefore, one is the trust factor that we provide to the consumer. The second is the network, both on sales and service. The customer would be interested that what kind of sales network is there, whether there is a dealer in my city or not, and what kind of service I'll be provided, what kind of warranty terms are there, and whether the components are available or not. So in terms of service and sales, the network would be a very important factor when a customer decides to go for a particular brand, and we are working on both. The third thing is about marketing your product. So, in terms of marketing, in terms of your other factors, how you take the customer into confidence and make him aware about your products and your technology. And I think, therefore, marketing would be a very important factor. And I think once our products are ready, we are simultaneously already working on all these factors, which is the trust, the network, as well as on the uh, making customer more confidence about our products.
Okay, sir. How is Daewoo planning to align with Indian government's policies on electrification and sustainability?
So, as I mentioned, there is a lot of work going on both at the private and the government level. And last time we had an interim budget, and therefore, because of elections, and after that, the government gave a 4 month uh, budget. About 500 crores were given for the FAME, for the interim period between the budget which was presented in February, and now with the budget which is going to be presented this week by the finance minister. And that 500 crores for FAME was only a 4 month budget. And now we are expecting, and a lot of expectation is there from this year's budget, because this is the full budget after the elections are over, and it will set a lot of trend and a lot of direction for the EV industry for the next 5 years. So we are expecting a lot of initiatives and a lot of policy level corrections by the government of India. Because as a industry person, and speaking on behalf of the whole industry, what we need is a continuity uh, and the confidence from the government, so that the players can invest in this category, whether in R&D or in the manufacturing. So what we are looking for is a reliability and consistency of the government policies. And therefore, our request and suggestion to the government would be that for EV at least, we need a, because it is still a growing category, it is not matured as yet. And there is a lot of the challenge with regard to consumer adoption, as well as from the manufacturing side, whether how much money we can invest in R&D and where the categories will look forward to. So therefore, we need a 5 year plan from the government, and 1 year plan actually does not give a lot of confidence to the manufacturers. and we would not really be very confident how much money to put in R&D or not at all, or in the manufacturing setup. So a long-term plan by the government of India, long-term policies with consistency and continuity is what the manufacturers are looking forward to. And we expect the government to give encouragement in terms of budgetary support, not only to the manufacturers, but as I mentioned in the beginning, also to the increasing the infra support for the charging stations and other factors. So if the government comes out with the right policy, I think the target of 50% of EV two-wheelers by 2030 of the total two-wheelers sold is actually achievable. And not only in two-wheelers, but also in passenger cars and all the commercial vehicles and all, where all of them have been given targets. So I think it's a very fair target, and with government support, actually, we can hope to achieve those numbers.
Okay, sir. Thank you for such a thoughtful session. I think I'm done with the
Thank you
questions.
very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much.